Welcome to Postcast. The Utah Jazz have a 9-point lead heading to the fourth quarter and then completely collapse offensively. What went wrong? Why couldn't they score? Why didn't they get shots that they could make? What do we take of these last two losses by the Utah Jazz? It's all coming up on Postcast. David Locke along with Ron Boone after the Jazz lose a disheartening loss to a shorthanded Golden State Warriors team without Steph Curry, without Andrew Wiggins, without Klay Thompson. And the Warriors kind of had played a style. We kept saying the Jazz never separated throughout the ball game. And by the end, the Jazz fourth quarter was an offensive void. And it ended up costing the Jazz the game. In the fourth quarter tonight, the Jazz shoot 4 of 25 from 3. 4 of 25 overall. 1 of 12 from 3. And 4 of 8 from the free throw line. Kelly Olynyk had not missed a late game free throw since 2015-16 and missed 2. Ron, let's try to address the fourth quarter. What went wrong with the Utah Jazz offense?
First of all, David, it's very rare that you see a whole team go 4 for 25. I mean, there are some times when you have a player that's just flat out cold, he doesn't stop shooting, and he has such a bad night, shooting like that. But it's rare to have a team go 4 for 25. Now, what type of shots are they getting? And those type of things. Was the defense that good? I mean, those are questions, but it's just rare that the team could go shoot that poorly from the field and only scoring 13 points.
Lauri Markkanen had 29 points heading into the fourth quarter. He seemingly had it going. He goes 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. Did he get enough looks and enough opportunities in that fourth quarter?
You would think if you look at the box score, you'd say, okay, he got 22 shots, and 13 of them coming from the offensive glass. So you would normally think, okay, he's averaging 16 shots a game. That's probably a fair amount of shots. But when a player has it going, when he's shooting the basketball well, you would think that he probably could have got 5 or 6 more shots up, and if the Jazz would have put him in a position to do that. I think the offense, the way they run their offense, the way they should run it, the way we've seen them run it, can dictate him getting more shots than what he got. But sometimes their offense changes a little bit, during the course of the basketball game, and he gets lost.
It might have been the third quarter. I mean, he only gets 2 shots in the third quarter. He gets 14 in the first half. He scores 23 points. He actually only gets 2 shots in the entire third quarter. We'll isolate the fourth quarter because that's where the offense went bad. But I wonder if really the problem is in the third quarter they didn't keep him rolling, right? Like they didn't keep him engaged in that third quarter the way they did. And I'm sure the Warriors, who are good, made some adjustments and did some things differently. And I don't know what they were at this moment. I'd have to go back and rewatch. But it does feel as maybe that third quarter and the Jazz inability to get spread this thing out at all against a shorthanded team. And that's hard to do on the road. I mean, the line on this game was 4.5. No one expected you to win by 10 or 12. Might have been the issue there as anything. The overall offense in the fourth quarter, were they good shots that didn't go in? Were they bad shots that the Warriors forced the Jazz into?
Normally you look at a stat sheet and say, okay, how many turnovers did they have? They only had 3. So you would have to think that the shots were not the uncontested looks that you would like to have. The defense of the Golden State Warriors really clamped down and forced the Jazz into some forced shots. And again, we're looking at this, on the offensive standpoint because we know exactly how good that offense could be and how well, the guys shoot the basketball. So Golden State Warriors, I mean, what did they do? They got it rolling. The Jazz can put the ball, the fire out. A couple of G League players or two-way players come in and they shoot the basketball probably a little bit better than they've shot all season long, and it's just amazing. The Jazz just couldn't put it together. But then again, you got a couple of veteran players to go to the free throw line, and which would have made it very interesting closing out the game. But at least if they'd have made free throws, it would have been interesting.
Kelly Olynyk goes to the free throw line, misses both. Might have been tired, had not missed a late game free throw in 11 straight attempts, back to 2015-16. Jordan Clarkson hadn't missed a late game free throw in the close final 2 minutes of a game since the 2021 season, only 5 attempts, but he misses one of his 2. The the other aspect of this one is the Warriors are the number one team in the NBA at denying the rim. It went to an extreme tonight that I have rarely ever seen. The official number as of right now, I think there's a fourth, but is that the Jazz took 3 shots the entire night at the rim. NBA.com's site has the Jazz with 3 shots the entire night at the rim. According to them, now I think Vanderbilt took one at the rim late that they have missed, but the only other shot after the first quarter that was taken at the rim by the Utah Jazz was a controlled tip by Walker Kessler that didn't go in.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so watching their defense and how they really clamp down, I mean, they just make it awfully crowded in the paint when you're trying to get there, and sometimes those shots that you take are low percentage shots. But they also try to take away that pass to the wing when you get into the paint, which is something I think a lot of teams that do, because all eyes out when you're driving to the basket when there's help defense. So you look to the weak side, and there's a possibility you could get, an uncontested 3-point shot. But I was wondering also, David, why Colin Sexton did not come back in the ball game there as well. He did not play there in the fourth quarter.
That's interesting. Did not realize he did not play a minute of the fourth quarter tonight, but he did not. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was playing some really good defense and got a little bit of an extended run. Might be the reason why. And in part of that, but it's an interesting question. The Jazz, what you saw tonight was the Jazz would drive, the Warriors shifted over, they take away the rim, they also take away that pass, and then our guys look small. Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson look small in the sense they couldn't get the pass through the traffic for that. Now, again, as Ron pointed out, there were only 3 turnovers late, so that wasn't it. The sad thing to me is this has been a team that's not been a very good defensive team, and they were pretty good. They were okay defensively tonight. I mean, if you go quarter by quarter, they were really good. Not as in the first quarter, the Jazz defensive rating was a 104, which is superb. It was a 100 by halftime. It was a 96 through 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, it wasn't as good. They allowed a few runouts. They allowed a few turnovers, or allowed a few opportunities. I mean, that's as good as 3 quarters of defense. Shorthanded, sure, no Steph Curry, no Klay Thompson, no Andrew Wiggins, fine, but that's what you're supposed to do to them. That's as good a defensive 36 minutes as we've seen out of this team. They allowed 85 points through 3 quarters to the Warriors tonight.
Well, the biggest lead the Jazz had was 12, and they couldn't extend that, at any time in the ball game. Very impressed with Will trying to win the basketball game. He went with the starters to close the ball game out. What was it, about the 6-minute mark or something like that? I think when we looked up and the starters were on the floor, and even with those starters on the floor, they couldn't close it out.
Here's what's really interesting next is how do they react? These are 2 bad losses. Let's not kid ourselves. For a team that has the team itself has believes in itself and has playoff aspirations, and Team 49 and they're trying to win every night. For all the talk of tank and all the other things, that's not where this group is. These are 2 disheartening losses in a trip that I'll be honest, when we started this trip at 19 and 16, my thought was, can we sweep this trip? Sacramento would have been hard. Did you just get a gift? I didn't think Sabonis would play. He played tonight. And can you get to 22 and 16 and so they have a 6 game? If you're 6 games over 500, you actually have to play 500 the rest of the way, or 1 or 2 games over 500. Can we get a little cushion here? I thought this was an opportunity to go to San Antonio to get a win, face the Warriors. They were going to be on a back-to-back, so you knew Klay wasn't playing, you knew Steph wasn't playing, you knew Wiggins wasn't playing. You thought you had that opportunity, and I don't think the Jazz came out. By the way, I don't think the Jazz came out and took these guys light, the old they let up. No, we were up 10 at the end of 1. We're up 9 going in the fourth quarter. We just got beat in the fourth quarter because either we didn't make shots or they made us take bad shots. I mean, you can start to debate that if you go rewatch it. But these are disheartening losses. It's going to be interesting to me to see how this group, who has been really resilient all year, reacts to this.
Yeah, once the Warriors got things going in that fourth quarter, they pushed the ball up a couple of times there, and I think Jerome hits a 3 that was big. Jerome hits one of the 3, and then Poole hit the other one, I think, at the time that tied the ball game up, and the momentum had shifted, and now the pressure was on the Jazz to try to close the ball game out, and they just could not get it done.
So the Jazz fall 2 stars tonight, Ron Boone? You look at the fourth quarter box, you're not finding any stars there, Ron. You better look at a different box score.
So I better look at the but.
Larry Markkinen's going to get one of the stars, I think, despite the fourth quarter absence.
I think
29
you can probably
points
give
and
it to
16
him
rebounds.
every night, But, boy, you can't just go by the points. And I know that Clarkson had 22 points, but you just can't go by that. But other than that, Conley with 10 assists, he ended up playing 32 minutes tonight. But so I'm just going to give it to 1 star tonight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you could give Kelly Olynyk the return, but the 2 free throws late are hard.
Yeah.
The missed free throw by Jordan late is hard. Yeah, it's hard to find a second star tonight, which might tell the story. That part of the reason Lowry disappeared in the second half was because there was nobody else to make the Warriors pay for overplaying Lowry.
Make his game a little easier.
Right. Yeah. All right, that wraps us up. That is postcast tonight. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.